So you're telling me the heart palpitations do not happen anymore?
No, I don't know when the last time I've had them. When you're told that, oh, you'll be like this for the rest of your life, that takes your hope away. It just gives me hope that everything will clear up and I'll just live a normal life.
Hey everyone, today we're interviewing Sheri. Sheri has been struggling with over 30 years of symptoms that started even before she was trying to get pregnant with her first child. She has a myriad of mystery symptoms, which you will hear about, including weight gain, voice changes, palpitations, insomnia, you name it. She also had a goiter, she had pituitary adenoma, struggles with periods, you name it. Yet these are all classically patterns that are missed for someone with autoimmunity, and they are all connected. I can't wait for you to see where she is today. I'm Maggie Yu, MD, and I am a functional and holistic medicine physician and the creator of Transform and the Transform Protocol to teach you how to turn around any autoimmune disease naturally. Please make sure you join our Facebook group, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. Make sure you give us a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube and a subscribe, and give us a follow on Instagram.
Sheri, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Sheri Shaw. I am married. I have two adult sons, and I just turned 60. And so I'm doing a lot of new things that I've always wanted to do. I'm taking piano lessons and I'm trying to learn new things to, I guess, do the next 20, 30 years that things that I've never done before.
I love it. Happy birthday. And it's so nice to see that you have such goals for your future. I can tell already that means you're probably feeling better than you were. So let's get into what was going on with you health-wise that maybe would have been holding you back from accomplishing some of those fun new life's adventures. What's been going on with you the last several years?
I've had my weight gain, really bad weight gain. I've had raspy voice where I would lose my voice sometimes, or I would struggle really hard to make sound. And it would be so low, and people would say, I can't hear you, but I'm really trying hard to sound louder. I was having heart palpitations, um, fatigue, brain fog like crazy, and stomach bloating. It had gotten to the point that it was so painful every time I ate anything. My stomach would blow up and I would just, it was so tight that it was just painful.
That seems like it could be debilitating for you. And for people out there who are unaware, you did have an autoimmune diagnosis, correct?
Right. I was officially diagnosed 3 years ago, but I've really had symptoms for quite a while, for years.
Mm.
And even almost 30 years ago, I was I was diagnosed with a pituitary adenoma. I had high prolactin levels, and so they did an MRI and they found out that I had pituitary adenoma, which was non-cancerous,
Mhm.
but it caused a goiter, and it caused, I was leaking milk, and my son was 2, so I hadn't breastfed in a long time, but I was, leaking milk and just really just feeling terrible.
And did they put you on medication for that? Because it's interesting, sometimes even that can cause infertility problems. But you had a 2-year-old son at the time. Was that your second child? It was after the birth of your second child?
That was actually my first child, and they they wanted to put me on different kinds of meds, and I just didn't want to, because they told me all the side effects with no guarantee, and they said, when if you want to have another child, you're going to have to take these medications, or we're going to have to give you something. So I just worked with someone with some herbs, and without even trying, we got pregnant with our second son.
Amazing.
And actually, when he was about 2 years old, then I had more flares.
Mm. And very common because now you're having a hormonally sensitive time in your life. And there you go. The autoimmune disease is ramping up even more. And I think you realize this, but that goiter that you had way back when, you said 30 plus years ago, prolactin adenoma. Am I saying that right? Say it for me.
Adenoma.
Adenoma. So that, all of it already connected to autoimmune, but yet nobody is telling you that.
Right, right. And so fast forward, we're juggling this for many years. And I have to say also that before I became pregnant with my first son, my husband and I, we had tried for like a year and a half. I had irregular periods and, maybe 3 a year. And the doctor says, oh, it's okay if you don't have any, just maybe 1 a year, we'll give you something. But I didn't want to take it. So it
But
took.
let's stop right there. It's okay if you're not having regular periods. Maybe 1 a year is enough.
Right.
Did that hit you as, that's a little strange? That doesn't seem like it would be normal.
No, it didn't sound right to me. I had had a period since I was 12, and you're supposed to have them every month. So I didn't take the medication that she wanted me to take. So fast forward, probably about 10 years ago, every time I would lay down, I felt like there was something pressing there. I had a goiter, and so I went to my doctor, and I had to kind of, beg her to give me an ultrasound because she said, oh, if it's not bothering you. And I said, well, it's kind of bothering me because when I try to sleep at night, it feels like I'm being choked. So she took an ultrasound and she said, we'll watch it. So the following year, when I go back in for my pap smear and everything, and I said, well, we're going to do an ultrasound. She said, oh, yeah, we will. So she did. And she says, well, there's not really a change. So we'll just keep watching it. And that just
watching until you get cancer, basically.
Right. So all of these signs were there. And so probably when I was 55, 56 is when I found my functional medicine doctor. And what happened was I was still having periods, and people were like, why are you still having periods? And I said, I don't know. And they were so irregular. It might be a day, it might be 8 or 9 days, and they were so very painful. So he looked at my hormones and he said, you have the hormones of quite an old lady. Everything was low. So he put me on hormones, which allowed me to go ahead and go through menopause. The periods have stopped and everything. So that was the beginning. And I still didn't feel quite right. I was told to get off gluten and everything. And so my husband and I were saying, we're missing something. There's something we're missing. So when our church member, Marie, was having such success with this program, actually.
You're right. So let's talk about that. Let's explain that a little bit more. So your husband is a pastor at a church, and you had somebody who's a church member who was also going through the Transform program. And your husband and you as well, incredibly supportive of this other person, getting to see kind of the program in action and see her results. And she had incredible results. Yeah. And so that's how you learned initially about the Transform program.
Right. Some measure of success, but not completely feeling really well. And so every week I would see her and she would be telling me all the good things, that how she was feeling better. And she said, you really need to try this program. And so
I want to feel like that too.
Right.
I want to feel good too. Yeah. I know. And so you knew there was a missing link. It's interesting because so many people do seek out functional medicine, right? And it can get them to a point and maybe make them feel somewhat better, but you're never quite all the way there. I can relate to that because the same thing has happened to me. Had some success with functional medicine, much better than conventional medicine, but something is still missing. And then that's when people find Dr. Maggie. And that was the case for you.
Yes.
So when you learned more about the program, did you have any hesitation about signing up?
I did because although Marie was having such success, I had been on so many programs that I was just skeptical to start yet another one. And I was thinking, well, maybe things will get better, with what I'm doing now. And then it was an investment, and I didn't want to for it not to work out. So we decided, I talked to my husband and he said, you should do it. And it didn't take long. I think maybe after the first mastermind call, I was thinking, I think this is it. Because the way the program was laid out was just awesome because, we've been trying to, for years, all of our marriage for like 34 years, we've been trying to eat healthy. And the thing about what I've found about this program is there can be healthy food, but it may not be right for my stomach.
That
And so,
personalized data. And that is
right,
what so many people don't understand. They say, well, just tell me what to eat. Well, you can't just blanket give a recommendation of what to eat for everybody with autoimmune disease, because everybody's going to have something specific that maybe their body likes or doesn't like. And so you had never had that personalized testing that was accurate from somebody who actually knew how to analyze the results. Because as you know, Dr. Maggie knows how to spot patterns and created food mapping. So that was huge for you. What did you discover about the foods that you should or shouldn't be eating?
well, the biggest thing was because we had been dairy free for so many years, for 30 something years, what I found was we were leaning a lot on almond. We were drinking almond milk, we were using almond flour, and then we were eating almonds. I was tossing almonds on my salads. So it's like almonds are a good thing.
Right. They're so healthy, right? And it's so common too when people give up gluten that they turn to having so much almond in their diet.
Right.
But what I'm hearing you foreshadow is that maybe almond was a problem.
It was. I think I got my food mapping results back on that Monday. But that Sunday I had noticed something that I was making these pumpkin pancakes and they had almond flour in it. And I was like, well, that's the only thing that I had, at that meal, and my stomach was bloating. So when we got the test back on Monday, I was like, there it is. It's
Mm.
almond flour. So it's the almonds. So I stopped eating almonds that week and I immediately saw a result.
Okay, so the results, what are we talking about? The bloating is basically gone?
Right. I mean, I had gotten to the point where I knew that whatever I ate, give me about 20 minutes and I'm going to have bloating. And I just expected it. And it took me a couple of days to realize, wow, I'm not feeling any bloating. And it was amazing to me because it's like, there are some foods I know that are bad foods, but it's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad food for it not to be good for you.
And it's funny too. Did you connect that your bloating issues were connected to autoimmune?
No, I didn't. That was an eye opener because when we found out that this is what is bothering me was some of the things that are good to eat that I was eating but wasn't agreeing with me. It's all started making sense because I've had stomach issues for years, and just by listening to the program and going through the program, I realized that some of the issues that I have, my mother has had. So it was just like all coming together. She was just like speaking my language because all the questions that I had were being answered. Dr. Maggie was speaking my language.
We mentioned the bloating necessarily you didn't connect to autoimmune, but the raspy voice as well and the weight gain, it's all connected, as I'm sure you're realizing now. I want to hear about this goiter because you were saying even when you were laying down, you could feel it, you could physically see it. I'm looking at you right now. I can't see anything. What's happened with the goiter?
It slowly has gone down. And I was looking for a picture in my photo album, in my list of pictures, and I saw the size of my neck because with it slowly going down, sometimes you don't realize, but I looked and it's like, wow, I had almost twice the size of my neck. And so many things that I, I guess I just assumed that would continue to go, that I would still have symptoms with. The fact that they're gone, like the heart palpitations, all of that.
So you're telling me the heart palpitations do not happen anymore?
No, I don't know when the last time I've had them.
How far out of the program are you now?
Let's see, maybe a month or so, a little more than a month.
Sheri, this is the stuff of miracles that other doctors would say. That's a miracle. How could that happen? When you have these issues, you're going to have them for life. And here you are 1 month out of the program. The goiter's going away. The bloating is completely gone. You have had no heart palpitations.
Right.
How does this feel to know that your life has improved so dramatically?
it makes me so hopeful because when you're told that, oh, you're going to feel like this is part of it, you'll be like this for the rest of your life, that takes your hope away. And so it just gives me hope that everything will clear up and I'll just live a normal life. It's so interesting with the food mapping and everything, how I'm planning out my meals and just not ever thinking about, oh, this is not going to sit well with me because I kind of know the things that I should be eating. I've learned how to, kind of balance the three things, the fats, the proteins, and the fiber. And
Mhm.
so I sit down at the table and I don't have anxiety about how I'm going to feel once the meal is over.
So let's expand upon that. It sounds like blood sugar mastery was a big, big link for you to feeling better. Tell me about that.
Well, I was blown away when I realized that my waking up at 2 in the morning and not being able to go back to sleep had something to do with blood sugar management and how I had always, for many years since I've been married, have only had like 2 meals a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. And then when the nutritionist told me that intermittent fasting, she wanted it to have a longer span of not eating. And I
Mm.
tried that for a few days before I started this program, and I felt horrible. And then
Mhm.
I realized why. It's
Mhm.
because I was having the spikes. So I thought, oh, this is going to be so hard because I'm just used to eating 2 meals a day. But it's really not when you are balancing each meal that I'm having breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and at least one snack.
Yeah.
And I just feel so balanced. I don't have headaches. Sometimes I would get headaches. I
My
would,
headache's gone too.
yeah, I was feeling drained, and it was just because my blood sugar was low. And I never thought about that. I came into the program thinking that only diabetics needed to balance their blood sugar.
And that is one of the most common myths. Dr. Maggie actually just did a whole teaching about this. And she was busting myths when it comes to blood sugar. And that was a myth that a lot of people believe. And what's interesting to me is you actually sought out the advice of a medical professional, of a nutritionist, who gave you the advice that you needed to go ahead and fast. You needed intermittent fasting to feel well and to get better. And it was the exact wrong advice for you because now you're not doing that. You're doing the opposite and you're much better.
My weight has gone down and it's stabilized when it
Mm.
used to be, just fluctuating so much. And this is one of the things that I really love about this program is that it's geared toward people with autoimmune diseases. And it's like, that's exactly what I needed.
You did. And I'm so happy for you that only 1 month out of the program, you're already at such a great spot. And as you know, this launches you into a year of transforming your health and just it's going to get better and better from here. And what's
Right.
so great too is you now have the knowledge. It's like you said, all of the information was laid out for you. So you are your own medical advocate now.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. You were referred basically from a friend at church, and I know you had mentioned you're now referring other people to this program. Tell me about why that is and why you feel so strongly that this is a life changer and a game changer for people.
Well, it's not a program. It's like a lifestyle change. And if you have that mindset, then I think it will continue on. But I didn't know that so many illnesses that people had were autoimmune. And I learned that in the program. And I learned that a lot of it is you may carry that gene from your parents. So when I've heard people, like there was a lady I was talking to the other day, and she was telling me about something she was going through, and it's like, oh, and she said my daughter, and then when she said her siblings, and it's like, oh my goodness, these are autoimmune diseases that you guys have a propensity for. And so you know we're kind of like in a society where we um, catch on to this disease and you take medications just for this disease, but it's all connected to just like whatever that the root is that started it. So it's like it manifests itself in different ways, but it's all one thing.
Well, because as you learned in the program too, if you're having an autoimmune attack on one part of your body, what's the likelihood you're going to have an autoimmune attack on another part of your body?
Right. Right.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's just like you're saying, it's all connected. And yeah, you have to cut it off at the root in order to feel better overall. You can't just keep treating this symptom and that symptom and expect to feel better, because it's going to continue to roar on and cause more issues in your system.
Right.
So I'm curious, what was it like for you to work with Dr. Maggie?
Oh, it was awesome. I was intimidated at the beginning because, with the brain fog, she's so knowledgeable, and
Mhm.
she'll just throw a question at you. And I would listen, when you first start tuning in, you're new, you don't know this information, and you have brain fog. And it was a little intimidating. And it's like, oh, please don't ask me a question, because I am 10 speeds behind, most people. So, but I think it's so good because I think she's very approachable, and I think she has a wealth of knowledge. And one thing that I was truly drawn to is that I believe that if you have suffered something, then you're able to understand better. And so, since she has had these issues with autoimmune, then she can better have empathy. She can better know where to get the knowledge that she's accumulated from her experience to share with us. So that was another plus for me.
So you mentioned brain fog at the beginning of the program. As you saw the weeks go on, was that lifting away? That fog was clearing? I mean, because right now you wouldn't seem like you have any fog.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would say all the time when I'm talking to someone, I'm sorry, I'm losing words, because I will be in the middle of a sentence and I'll just lose a word. And I have seen it slowly get better. And I think it's just the total of the total package of the program. I don't think it was necessarily one thing. And I just love the way it's laid out. It makes it difficult not to succeed the way that it's laid out.
So we talked about game changers for you. Almond was the big one. What else?
When we went over hormones, I realized, or Dr. Maggie explained to me that some of the hormones that I was on was making me really jittery. I was just like hyper all the time, hyper emotional. Everything caused anxiety. And this past month, my mom's been in and out of the hospital, and my husband commented the other day. He's just like, "You seem so calm throughout it. This is not how you would have reacted. I would have been so, blown into a tizzy." And I was just so well balanced because I wasn't on all of these hormones.
Right. This sounds like not only impacted your life then, but your husband is seeing a big, big difference. How has this impacted the lives of those around you?
Well, especially, because I live with my husband, there's certain things that we're just not buying, and he's buying into the balancing your blood sugar. So he's getting the hang of it, and he's even thinking about, oh, is this a snack, or is this a big enough to be a lunch? Because we both are so used to just having two meals. So that was just like the biggest thing. So he is actually really trying hard to come along in the program as well.
Are you guys both on the digestive enzymes then, it sounds like?
He's taking something else, but yes, I am on the digestive enzymes, and I don't think I'll ever stop taking them because they're just so wonderful. And, once again, I was on a lot of supplements and I was skeptical about adding new. And what I've done is I've purged. I've added the ones that Dr. Maggie has suggested, and I've purged a lot of them. So I'm not just, consuming supplements like crazy, and I see a difference.
Yeah, I can relate to that because at one point I think I was taking 30 pills a day, and that's not manageable, and that's not a fun life. Who wants to, feel like it's a chore to have to choke down all of these pills? And that's not the goal here. And it's interesting because it's not a good business model for Dr. Maggie, right? She has a supplement organist company, but she wants you to only be on the targeted supplements that you need and only for the amount of time that it's necessary, and then get rid of them because you don't need them anymore. So now you're only on a handful of ones, it sounds like, that you need and that are giving you a benefit. And it's definitely improving your life. And you got to get off of supplements, you're telling me, that you didn't really need.
Right, right.
I know earlier you mentioned you were worried about the cost and you had, didn't want this to be yet another thing that you did that didn't work out.
The value was more than what the money could give me because I believe that it's added years to my life.
Mm.
And it's not only helping me, but it helps my sons because I've shared information with them and it's helped my husband. So I think it was more. And when I went into it and when I agreed with my husband and he said, oh, we should do this, I was happy because of what I'd learned from the promo that you can help generations behind you. And so it's like, it's not just for me, it's for our family and for, our extended family.
Hey, you're going to be around, as you said, years longer. So you get to enjoy them and they get to have mom around.
And then when I try new things based on my eating habits, I share it with them and they're like, oh, because no gluten, I've told them about no gluten and why that's important. And so when I find a recipe where I've made something without gluten and I'll have them taste it and they're like, wow, that's good. So it's like it's not something that they've read in a book. They'll have somebody with actual experience to say, oh, this is, it can be done.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I'm just curious now, what would you say to somebody else, a Sheri that's sitting out there that's maybe struggled with mystery symptoms for years, but is looking into this and saying, I wonder if that's something that could really help me. I mean, I see it helps her, but could this really help me?
You definitely have to give it a try. It's worth, finding the money, but you have to give it a try because all of the components put together will help you in whatever it is that you're going through, whatever symptoms you're having, whether or not it's the same symptoms that I had, that it's like a whole lifestyle change that you're not hearing. Even I was so tired of going on the YouTube rabbit hole of all these different doctors, and to know that I can get everything I need in one place and they're not contradicting each other. Because a lot of times you'll see something on YouTube and with one doctor and another doctor is contradicting it.
You don't know what to believe.
Yeah. And then not only is it all in one place, but there are lots of people who you can say, oh, you can see that they have used this program and have gotten better. So it's not like some marketing thing. These are real people. So,
yeah. So you're telling me you're a real person? Real person with real results, right? Sheri, are you a paid actor?
No.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time today. And I know that your story is going to touch somebody else and probably impact their life in a positive way as well. So thank you for being so generous with your time.
Thank you.
That was a really inspiring interview with Sheri. I do have to say, I loved her energy and her spirit. And I can't imagine her having that fatigue that she talked about because she's just so full of life. And to think that she's been experiencing these symptoms, some of them over 30 years, she's talking about her mom experienced symptoms as well. And now she just turned 60 years old and she wants to do all of these fun, new, exciting adventures.
So,
and she's able to.
Wait a minute, though. This woman that you're seeing today, which is just 3 months from when she started the program, the first 3 weeks of the program, that woman hid. That woman hid. Like,
That's
she didn't
hard to
ask her
imagine.
questions. She wanted to make sure I didn't ask her anything. She was hiding. And I don't think she was just hiding the first 3 weeks of the program. I think she's been hiding in her life because of her suffering.
So this has really transformed her. I mean, it's transformed her whole personality because the woman that I got a chance to meet today was bright and lively and seemed very outgoing and bubbly.
Well, and I love the fact that she was working with functional medicine physicians and a functional nutritionist who was giving her part of the advice or wrong advice, and she wasn't getting better. That's the key. So just because you're working with a functional medicine physician or a functional nutritionist, don't make them an expert for autoimmunity, or don't make them have the answers for every single thing going on, or doesn't make them connecting all the dots, right? That's, I think, the most powerful lesson of Sheri's story.
Right. Because she was actually finally diagnosed with autoimmune disease 3 years ago.
That's it.
She's been working for years to try to
30 years.
Yep, to try to get to the bottom of her symptoms and her terrible bloating. And here she is just 1 month out of the program and her symptoms are
are
gone.
gone. Invisibly, I could see her goiter, and now you cannot see her goiter anymore. I mean, that is huge. So proof is in the pudding. I love the real people and real results that we have. All right, everybody. For those of you who are watching this, make sure you click and join our Facebook group, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. The link is above or below this video. If you guys want to learn more about the program, there's a link above or below this video to chat our team, start a chat with our team so you can learn how to turn around your autoimmune disease naturally.